Ready? Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, will you call the roll?
Yes, Trustee Lautner.
Here.
Trustee Zara.
Here.
Trustee Council. Here. Trustee Sheehan.
Here.
Trustee Caputo.
Here.
Trustee Diaferio.
Here.
President DeCipio. A quorum is present, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. My first order, I'd like to move up public participation, the non-agenda related items up to the agenda because we have two residents here that would like to speak and I want to get them up situated first. So Sarah Sullivan, would you please come up to the mic and introduce yourself and then speak to the board?
Hi, thank you. My name is Sarah Sullivan. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you, and I appreciate everybody's representation here. It's my first board meeting and being in attendance, and I take this seriously and appreciate the ear that you can lend this situation that I would like to share with you and voice my concern. And please inform me if I'm beyond my time limit. That my intent here is to speak factually and provide you with information that should be helpful moving forward. I speak before you this evening to vocalize my concern as a homeowner within Grange Park. I'm here to speak factually and to bring before you a situation between my husband and I and Elite Construction Company. Our specific concern began during a lengthy permitting process and progressed through an utterly painstaking construction project and ended with a construction company that removed a sign and did not inform the village of the status of our project. A reputable company, in my belief, is based on a company or individual of any kind is formed on the basis of honest communication and integrity of work and systems to ensure an end product all parties are proud of. These elements, which include timely and honest communication and integrity of work product, was sorely missing from start to finish of our project. As a homeowner, I count on both the village and the contractor to work in lockstep to serve me, the homeowner, and to guarantee that the work on my house has been completed to all safety standards. Instead of these things happening, the following did occur. Alterations to our contract without approval from the homeowner, requiring 3 to 5 revisions, and progression on our project without our approval. We did not find out about this until 5 months into the project. There were major errors. There are flaws in the plans that were approved and provided to the village that our company did not abide by. We had no posting of a permit in our window for the entire project. We were not provided with copies of inspections by our company. Plans were not accessible to us or the workers within our house. There were long sequences of work completed without signing off by the homeowner to approve them, and long periods or absent or dishonest communication of upward of a week at minimum and more was common practice. We were requested additional payments to move forward in our project, and as it turns out, minimal inspections were not provided, were not passed, and money was collected further. This was all done without us knowing. Now, you might ask, how did this happen? How did we become this victim in this situation? We do bear responsibility, and we do take ownership for these things that happen, but this should not happen. And any reputable company that is providing services within our community should be tracked, and these things should be followed, and we should be informed on every project that's done to make sure that houses are kept and they're kept to their integrity. We have historic homes within our community. We have new homes within our community. We have residents. Homes and members, homeowners, deserve safety, integrity of their homes, and that was sorely missing in our project. I'm concerned as a resident of Grange Park, and until now have kept this to ourselves. We didn't know what recourse we had. We're told one thing, we had to beg for services, and I see these same things happening to others within our community. I am not here to speak for others, but I have spoken to many. This is not a one-time situation. I simply ask that the village come up with some sort of a protocol within the scope of what is legally acceptable to make sure that homeowners are not taken advantage of, and that simple things such as a building permit is always on a home so that I know that the village is here to support and work and protect me in the end. It has been a painful, very emotionally distraught, traumatic period of time for the past year and a half. And it should not take place and should not happen to anybody else. Within that course of time, I was a caregiver, I was a full-time worker, a mother of 3 kids, a wife, and a caregiver to my dad who had Alzheimer's. This project was especially sensitive because this room on our first floor was to provide his living and his support and his care so he could live with his home in a meaningful environment until he passed. We were robbed of that opportunity based on the happenings here. I know that you will do everything within your matter. I'm not asking for anything more. I'm not here to speak ill of anybody, but I do appreciate anything that you can do to work together to make this a much more copious, just a situation that everybody can live by and live with. Thank you.
Sarah, thank you. We're so sorry for your situation.
Yeah.
Maybe Julia can get in touch with you during the week and talk to you a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Good evening. Thank you to the board, trustees, village staff for your time and your service. My name is Matthew Schroeder. I serve as president of Grange Park Little League, and I'm also a parent of young children who are regularly at Haynesworth Park. I'm here tonight out of genuine concern for the safety of the families who use Haynesworth South Field during Little League games and practices. During games, there are many children in the area, not only players, but younger siblings, cousins, and neighborhood children moving around the park. I've personally observed vehicles traveling way too quickly through that area while children are present. I've observed motorized bikes and similar vehicles moving through the park area during games, creating another avoidable safety risk. Children are energetic and unpredictable. This is normal. It only takes one moment for something serious to happen. Our neighboring community of Riverside experienced a heartbreaking Little League tragedy in 1990 when a truck made its way to a t-ball field, killing 3 and injuring many more. One of our board members for the league was 10 years old and playing on another field at that very same time when the incident occurred, and said it was undoubtedly the most terrible thing he has ever seen in his life. We should always learn from history, and action needs to be taken here before something preventable might occur. I've since spoken with individuals who work in development and traffic planning, and they explain something important. Long, straight roadways naturally encourage speeding. Barnsdale Road, particularly near the fields, functions like a runway. This is not necessarily because people intend to harm anybody. It is because roadway design influences driver behavior. This is why communities across the country use what are known as traffic calming measures. These are not controversial or experimental concepts. They are widely studied, commonly implemented, and supported by engineering data. The Institute of Transportation Engineers, the ITE, publishes recognized guidance on proven traffic calming techniques. As such, probably because I'm a nerdy lawyer, I reviewed nationally some of the traffic calming guidance from the Institute, and they specifically identify vertical deflection measures such as speed humps, speed bumps, and speed tables as accepted tools to reduce speed in areas where pedestrians' safety is of the most importance. Referring to accepted standards helps remove emotion, subjectivity, controversy from the decision-making process and focuses the discussion on what works. I respectfully ask the village to immediately consider temporary speed bumps during the Little League games and events. I also ask that the village evaluate permanent traffic calming measures for the area consistent with accepted engineering guidance. I respectfully ask as well that motorized bikes and similar vehicles be prohibited from the immediate field during league events. I understand one possible concern may be emergency vehicle access. However, I believe there is limited need for through traffic beyond the baseball fields, and there are alternate routes available. I'm confident these issues can be addressed through thoughtful planning. I also believe, as usable space has been reduced during the construction period over at Haynesworth, children are naturally congregating closer to the road. It's just happening. This makes these safety efforts and concerns even more real and urgent. I'm here because I care deeply about this community and the families who use the parks. None of us would ever want to look back and wish we had acted sooner. I respectfully ask the village to take practical, reasonable action now. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Matt, thank you. Anyone else care to address the board?
Robert Consul. So this is regarding LGDF again. So at the March 24th meeting, I had mentioned that I had sent out a letter out to all 118 State House representatives in an email, their contact posts on their websites. And after this, I sent out the same letter to all 59 senators. Since then, from April 10th through the 15th, I have written letters to the editor to the Chicago Tribune, Sun-Times, Riverside Brookfield Landmark newspapers. Since the Suburban Life doesn't have a letter to the editor option, I wrote to Bob Bradko, the editor, with a copy of my letter and all my backup documentation requesting that he consider writing a story about LGDF since it affects all our communities. I did get a response from the Tribune requesting documentation of my information and thought I had a chance to get published based on the email received, but unfortunately, I haven't seen anything published from them or any of the other papers I wrote to. I posted information about the effect of LGDF on Grange Park on my Facebook page today, and have also requested permission to post the same on Grange Park Connections through their administrators. I'm waiting to hear from them since they say they don't allow political messaging. I believe that this is more of a public service announcement and not political. We'll see what happens. I know that several members from the village will be attending Lobby Day tomorrow in Springfield to meet with our state representatives. And looking at the agenda on the Illinois Municipal League website, I noticed that no House representatives will be there, and only Senate Republican John Curran, Senate President Don Harmon, and Senator Ram Villavem will be addressing the attendees with some other speakers for the morning session. And meetings with other legislators must be scheduled between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. in advance. I don't know if this was able to be scheduled with our two senators, Kimberly Lightford or Mike Porfirio. Also, if scheduling is not already done, then I must wonder what impact this visit will have, as I'm not sure if our House representatives Chris Welsh, LaShawn Ford, or Abnel Nasir Rashid will be meeting with you, especially to discuss the LGDF and now the new zoning changes that are being considered. Now, I know a lot of people may think that my quest to get the word out about LGDF and its effects on towns and villages is not worth the time or effort. To some degree, they're right, because what can one person in a town of 13,500 people do unless there are more voices to be heard, i.e. the reasons for sending editorials to newspapers, posting on Facebook, and hopefully Grange Park Connections. After all, the IML, representing 1,292 towns, villages, and municipalities in the state, hasn't been able to do anything in all the years I've been working to get the LGDF restored. I believe that the only way to maybe get more support to fight the LGDF funding cuts and restore full funding is to get more residents to let our legislators know what a detrimental effect it is having on all our villages and towns. So how can this be done? I have a few suggestions. The village website has what I believe is a very good, simple explanation of the effects of LGDF cuts to our village. Also includes a sample letter which can be used to send to our legislators, and also a contact list of all 5 of our representatives, 2 senators and 3 representatives. I would like to suggest that every staff member from the village, sitting here tonight at this meeting or not, and if possible, fire department personnel, police department, public works department, etc., take advantage of this information provided on the website and write to all our representatives about stopping further LGDF cuts. It really doesn't matter where they live, because this affects everybody in the state. The village recently, number 2, the village recently passed a $10 million road referendum. The reason it was passed was getting information to all our residents. I'd like to see, as a minimum, a postcard sent to all residents encouraging them to contact their state legislators about this issue. I believe the cost of this would be offset by any potential gains, in preventing the proposed $60 million additional cut being proposed for the state budget. If this passes, it will probably cost the village an additional $50,000 to $60,000 a year. The cost benefit would pay for itself. The other item, number 3, it would be nice if there was a collaborative effort between our village and other surrounding villages to ask them to do the same thing, protest the proposed cut and push for restoration of the 10% LGDF funding. For those who would like to, find my post on Facebook, and if you see what you like, repost it on your personal Facebook accounts or other social media accounts. The reason for all this effort is I believe that very few Illinois residents are aware of what the LGDF is and how it is affecting their villages and their wallets. Just having the IML speak out and a once-a-year visit with our legislators by village boards will not cut it. There is strength in numbers. The more letters the legislators get, maybe they will start listening that they are not helping their constituents by continually taking money from our villages. The time to act is now. We have 32 days until the budget must be approved by May 31st. Thank you.
Anyone else care to address the board? Okay, moving on. Megan, consent agenda?
Thank you, Mr. President. The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes. 1, village board meeting, March 24th, 2026. 2, village board work session, April 14th, 2026. B, action, fiscal year 2026-27 pay plan motion to approve an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2026-27 employee pay plan and schedule of authorized positions for the village of Grange Park. Action, paramedic firefighter contract renewal motion to approve a resolution authorizing the approval and execution of an agreement between the village of Grange Park and Paramedic Services of Illinois, PSI, Inc., for paramedic firefighter services for a 3-year term from May 1st, 2026 through April 30th, 2029, with an option for a 4th year, and approving the expenditure of village funds in an amount not to exceed $2,452,056. D, action, resolution, approving an agreement with Empower for 457B retirement plan record keeping and administrative services. Motion to approve a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of a professional service agreement for record keeping and administrative services for the village's 457B retirement plan between the village of Grange Park and Empower. E, action, accounts payable and payroll summary. Motion 1, to authorize the president and chairperson of the finance committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. And motion 2, to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and the next village board meeting, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its next meeting.
Motion to approve consent agenda is presented.
Motion.
Have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Will you call the roll?
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. And moving on, village manager's report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report this evening.
Administration committee, trustee council.
Thank you, President DeCipio. My report is as follows. Community Volunteer Day. The village's annual Community Volunteer Day will take place Saturday, May 16, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Volunteers will provide assistance to older adults in the community who need help with basic lawn care and spring cleaning. This day of service is a great opportunity for individuals, families, and organizations to support their neighbors and make a positive mark on the community. Visit the village's website to register for the event or to request volunteer assistance. Contact Maggie Jar for more information. Save the date, 60526 Day. On June 5, 2026, LaGrange Park is celebrating our one and only zip code, 60526. Join the village of LaGrange Park, Community Park District, Public Library District, Chamber of Commerce, and Forest Preserves of Cook County for activities, events, and community fun throughout the day. Stay tuned for more details on how you can join in celebrating all things LaGrange Park. And my final report is Youth Commission vacancies. The village will be seeking new members to serve on the Youth Commission during the next school year. This is a great opportunity for students in grades 7 through 12 to engage with their peers on community issues. Meetings are held once a month on Monday evenings from September through May. Visit the village's website to learn more and access the application. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Council. Moving on, Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activities for March of 2026. 84 building permits were issued in March of 2026 compared to 61 issued in March of 2025. As of March, the pace of permit submittals year-to-date is exceeding the pace of submittals at this time last year by 32%. The estimated construction costs for March were just over $1.8 million, which was more than the just over $1.6 million that was realized in March 2025. Permit fees collected last month equaled $74,231, which was more than the $53,716 of collected permit fees in March 2025. 140 building inspections were conducted this past month compared to 46 inspections in March 2025. The pace of building inspections year to date is exceeding the pace of inspections at this time last year by 68%. A total of 4 new code enforcement cases were recorded last month. 1 of these cases was closed out. The remaining 3 are currently open. And that is all I have right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Moving on to Engineering Capital Projects, Trustee Diaferio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here's our engineering and capital project summary report for March 2026. Scottdale Headwall Replacement Project. The construction of this project will be delayed into May, June as Salt Creek water elevations have not been conducive to beginning the work. 2025-2026 roadway patching program. Asphalt plants will open the 3rd week in April, and work is scheduled to begin and be completed over 2 days within a few days of asphalt being available. Signs will be posted in advance of the paving to allow the work to be completed. 2026 Park roadway improvements project. A bid date has been set for Friday, April 17th, 2026 for the roadway work on the 300 and 400 blocks of Park Road. North Village Hall Green Parking Lot project. A bid date of May 13th, 2026 has been set for the project, which will replace the existing pavement with permeable paver parking lot through a partnership agreement with the MWRD. Public Works Project Storage and Parking Lot Project. A bid date of May 13th, 2026 has been set for the project, which replaces the concrete storage slab and repaves the failed areas of the parking lot. And that concludes our report for March.
Thank you, Trustee Diaferio. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Caputo.
Thank you, Mayor DeCipio. 1 second here. My thing disappeared. Hold on 1 second. Oh my God. Thank you. Okay, so in addition to the, so the total number of, this is the Police Department summary of activities for March of 2026. Total number of crimes reported in the first 3 months of 2026 are approximately 43% higher than those reported in 2025, with 79% reported in the first 3 months of 2026 compared to 51 in 2025. Traffic enforcement is at 1,256 total tickets issued through March of 2026. Overall police activity is 6% higher to last year, with 1,226 total incidents reported in the month of March 2026 compared to 1,153 total incidents in the month of March 2025. Of those 1,226 total incidents, 54 were assisted the fire department, 59 were self-initiated building or park checks, 349 were traffic stops, and 79 were closed home checks. Department members attended 333 hours of training, along with the completion of required monthly online training, Lexipol daily training bulletins, along with bloodborne pathogens and hazmat training. Probationary officer Mata completed the field training process and was released to solo patrol. Numerous members of the department took part in the Special Olympics polar plunge and raised nearly $6,000 for this cause. The Board of Police Commissioners held interviews with eligible candidates and formalized a final Band 1 eligibility list, and unfortunately both candidates declined our conditional offer, which requires the interviewing of candidates from the Band 2 initial list. Deputy Chief Morocco and Commander Griffin attended the ILEAS conference in Springfield. And mark your calendars and do not miss the upcoming Police Department special events, National Night Out This year, we will again be partaking in National Night Out with the villages of Western Springs, LaGrange, and the city of Countryside. The event will take place on Tuesday, August 4th from 6 to 9 at Idea Denning Park. It's located at 4903 South Gilbert Avenue. Please follow us at the Village of LaGrange Park Facebook page for further details as this event gets closer. And please follow the police department on the Village of LaGrange Park Facebook page. And a friendly reminder about securing one's personal property at all times. Please lock your vehicles at residence, especially during the overnight hours. And if you're going on vacation, please utilize the new online vacation watch portal, frontlinepss.com/Grange Park, or log onto the village website and access the portal under the police department page. If you do not have internet access, feel free to fill out the vacation watch card at the police department between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. And please contact us if you need any additional information. That concludes the village report for police. This is now the fire department activities report for March of 26. EMS incidents this month are 180. There have been 570 year-to-date compared to 559 year-to-date in 2025. Fire rescue incidents this month were 82, and there has been 210 year-to-date compared to 166 year-to-date in 25. Staff provided Saturday morning CPR class for 30 attendees at the Hop District Community Brewing Company, and PSI paramedic Diamond Truba graduated from the Basic Operations Fire Academy in Romeoville. The 31st Street Corridor Transportation Plan public open house was held at Fire Station number 2, and training this month included work with the LaGrange Fire Department on vehicle and equipment familiarization and relay pumping. Personnel also trained on rescue task force deployment and on the medical skills related to injuries seen in active shooters, hostile events. In addition, staff trained with Western Springs firefighters focusing on techniques for removing victims in smoke and fire conditions. Contractors beginning work on the fire station number 2 roof, which was postponed due to snow and extremely cold weather late last year. There was progress despite additional rain and wind issues. Ambulance 1214 was placed back in service after additional maintenance work was done on the emission systems following several days of waiting on parts. Fire prevention staff worked with the postmaster and building owner to resolve an issue where the post office fire alarm system was disconnected, so it was not automatically sending an alarm to LTAC. The building director, public works director, and fire chief all met with the Park District, their contractor, and their architect related to the gym addition project. And I have a couple items of interest, incidents that took place this past month. And on Monday, March 10th, at 5:52 p.m. during a significant hailstorm, Truck 1219 and Chief 1201 responded to a house struck by lightning in LaGrange. Personnel assisted with cutting power and searching for a hidden fire in the walls. On Sunday, March 15th at 3:07 p.m., fire crews responded to an oven fire where combustible items were left inside during use of the oven. Fire crews extinguished the fire with an extinguisher, used fans to ventilate the home, and turned off gas and electric to the unit. And the final one is on March 22nd at 1:40 p.m. Truck 1219 and Deputy Chief 1202 responded to assist to Western Springs with a garage fire in the 4000 block of Rose Avenue. I have one other item on my agenda. Give me 1 second here. The next item is the fire station number 2 roof replacement. There's a change order number 001, coping sealant. The purpose is for the staff to seek the village's ratification of approval of the change order number 001 in the amount of $5,130 to cover the cost of sealant replacement on limestone caps, also known as capping. General background: on October 14th of 25, the village board approved the contract with FH Passion SN Nielsen and Associates LLC for $127,350 to pay for the roof replacement at fire station number 2, which is partially being covered by DCEO grants. During the work which took place over the last month after being delayed by winter weather and the rain, it was noted by the roofing contractor that the joints in the masonry coping are limestone cap along the perimeter of the roof were also in need of repair. Some of these areas, if left untreated, could actually result in water still being able to get between the brick walls and the building, down the walls, and even possibly under the new roof. As such, the contractor also recommended replacement of the sealants to the joints. The staff requested a formal proposal for the contractor to do the work as they were already mobilized and still working on the roof. Although not directly related to the actual roof, the additional unanticipated coping repair work is done to ensure that once the roof repair is completed, the roof and the building coping area do not leak water. While not within the original scope of roof repair project, the contractor provided the proposal in the form of a change order, as the proposed coping repair work does relate to maintaining the structure integrity of the building, and without such repair work being done, water leakage could undermine the roof repairs and the building structures in structural integrity. The dollar amount of the proposal change order number 001 is $5,130. It should be noted the dollar value of the change order 001 is within the spending authority of the village manager, but the scope of the work is beyond the original anticipated scope of work for the roof repair project. So village staff is bringing the ratification of the approval of change order number 001 to the village board for information and action. The dollar value of the change order is less than a $10,000 threshold, which requires approval of the change order via an ordinance under 720 ILCS 5/33E-G Criminal Code Change Order Statute. Also based on the 2025 contract award of $127,300, the village board is able to make the following finding and determination pursuant to Section 5 of the Public Works Contract Change Order Act 50 ILCS 525/5. Although the state of Illinois job order contracting process is used for this project, the amount of change order number 001 or a series of change orders does not increase the original contract by 50% or more, and thus the village will not otherwise be obligated to rebid the additional work proposed under the change order of 001. Based upon the work needing to be completed to prevent water infiltration and efficiency of the costs to complete it while the contractor was still mobilized, staff approved the contractor to move forward with the additional work noted in the change order following consultation with the village attorney. It is being brought forward at this time for formal approval. Staff recommendation is for the board to ratify the approval of change order number 1 with FH Passion SN Nielsen Associates LLC for a total increase of $5,130, and the action request is for the pre-motion finding and determination by the village board pursuant to Section 5 of the Public Works Contract Change Order Act 50 ILCS 525/E. The amount of the change order 001 does not increase the original contract by 50%, and thus the village is not obligated to rebid additional work proposed under the change order 001. The motion is to ratify the approval of change order number 001 with FH Passion SN Nielsen Associates LLC for a total increase of $5,130, which increases the original awarded contract price of $127,500 to $132,630.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion, trustee Caputo?
Yes, thank you, Mayor DeCipio. You know, we've dealt with FH Passion before. They do great work for us. We have a good track record with them, and if this is something that's needed at this marginal cost and it was approved with the village attorney and with the amount that fits within the guidelines for not exceeding a rebidding process, I see no reason why we shouldn't take this preventative measure to have issues in the future, so I'm approving of this.
Thank you, trustee Caputo. Any comments from the board? Trustee Zora?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a question for the chief. It's a technical question. I think the work's already been performed, so it doesn't matter, but I guess it's more for future is what I'm thinking. So a lot of times with the existing limestone, there is water infiltration because it's porous. So we flash underneath it and then seal it. And I'm assuming they didn't take the limestone off and flash underneath it.
They did not. I do believe that they sealed the sides and the top. We did talk to them, about actually changing what they were doing, what they had proposed, but based on the cost and the time involved, we didn't think it was worth it. They had already put the roof down, and they would have had to change the flashing all the way off the roof that they've already installed just to go back up under the limestone.
Okay.
So since it was done this way and the building was built in like 1958 and it's lasted this long, we figure for the cost, this is what we should do. And instead of delay the project, it would have been substantially more.
Okay.
But
All right.
thanks.
Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify, this work has been completed and will be paid for in this fiscal year? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you. That concludes my agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Caputo. Okay, moving on, Public Works Committee, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following is the report for Public Works for the month of March. DPW repaired 2 water main breaks. Snow operations were low frequency with only 2 minor salting events. Staff rebuilt 2 deteriorating catch basins. Pothole work continued, will remain a priority service. Staff continues to update data to our lead service line inventory. Specified addresses are being left letters to schedule appointments for service material inspections. Public Works rented a coring machine to take core samples of roadways to prepare for road improvement projects. In-house tree trimming of adolescent trees was completed in the north central section. Street sweeping continued as weather permitted. Public Works staff completed OSHA training for the mitigation and hazards associated with silica. That one threw me. JJ, I had to look that up because 40 years ago we didn't have that kind of training. So silicone dioxide, I got a little education, so thanks for that. Let's see, staff completed interviews for the open position. The village sent an offer letter at the end of March, was accepted. We welcome Jose Chavez to our team in village. Welcome aboard. Superintendent Jandik participated in Isawa. Members drive down to the Capitol. He spent the day speaking with representatives and senators about lead service line removals and PFAS. Nice job there. GIS work continued, collecting data on village-owned assets along with the continued training throughout the village. Water meters were read in all sections. 15 monthly bacterial samples were taken. Various water sewer work orders were completed along with resident tree concerns and general construction inquiries. Routine maintenance to the department's fleet and equipment was completed, as well as on police and fire vehicles. Next, we have the DCEO grant agreements for the Park Road resurfacing project and the Homestead Road water main project. The purpose is to ratify grant agreements with the State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the Park Road resurfacing project and the Homestead Road water main replacement project. The village was awarded 3 State of Illinois capital grants. Good job, guys. $675,000 for the Park Road resurfacing project. State grant award number HD 240162, HD 240166. And SD 240190, and 1 grant in the amount of $500,000 for the Homestead Road water main replacement project, state grant number BC 250045. The village staff has been working with the DCEO over the past year to complete the required grant documentation and since received notice of the grant awards. The grant agreements are scheduled to be delivered to the village. My understanding they already have been. The agreements will be standard state-issued grant agreements where the village will not have discretion to request changes to the terms and condition. A copy of the template state-issued grant agreement is enclosed for review. Staff recommends with the village board to accept the award of the grants and authorize the village president to execute the grant agreements after village attorney review to expedite the DCEO grant funding process. Therefore, Mr. President, make a motion to approve a resolution accepting the grant awards and authorizing and approving the execution of a grant agreement with the State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the Park Road Resurfacing Project, state grant award numbers HD 240162, HD 240166, and SD 240190.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion, trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, as I stated earlier, nice job bringing the grant money back home. We talked about this project probably 3 or 4 years. The 500 block was done. I know the residents on the 300 and 400 block. The residents on the 300 and 400 block will be happy to see this completed. I don't know, Superintendent Jandik, do you have anything more to add on this?
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. When this agenda item was drafted, this memo, we were anticipating receiving them in the near future, and in the meantime, while we had to get this memo in for the board packet to come in, we've received all these grant agreements and the awards for them currently. Perfect.
Very good.
So we're good to move forward with this, and the residents I know on the 300 and 400 block will be very thankful. I've had many phone calls with them over the past few weeks, just getting an update on the project.
I'll go one further, a couple of years, but yeah.
Exactly.
As will Park Junior.
Right.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diafario?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
Thanks for answering that, Superintendent. Next, we'll go resolutions, tree removal service, tree stump removal service.
No, we have one more,
There's
Trustee
another
Sheehan.
motion for the DCO
The
grant.
second one.
Oh, my apologies.
Well, it was very exciting. We're very excited about it.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Motion to approve a resolution accepting the grant award and authorizing and approving the execution of a grant agreement with the State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity for the Homestead Water Main Replacement Project, State Grant Award number BC 250045.
Second.
Motion and a second, discussion, trustee Sheehan?
Nice job preparing the grant applications to bring the money home from Springfield. I appreciate it, the residents appreciate it, and I support this.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diafario?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Okay. Now we'll go resolution, tree removal services and tree stump removal services. The purpose is to execute a resolution for tree removal services and a resolution for tree stump removal services. The Public Works Department collaborated with Attorney Jerusik on a request for proposal for tree removal and tree stump removal services. Staff submitted the RFP to 10 reputable tree care companies and also listed the RFP on the Village and IML websites. On April 8th, 2026, at 10 a.m., the proposals were due to Public Works. There were a total of 5 proposals for both tree removals and tree stump removals accepted. The proposals included pricing for this upcoming fiscal year through fiscal year 28-29. After reviewing all the proposals, Sinot Tree Services, Inc. submitted the top proposal for tree stump removals, and Desiderio Landscaping LLC submitted the best proposal for tree removals. You see the $24,500 to come out of motor fuel tax 270706050, budgeted amount $24,500, general fund budget amount $15,000, general fund budget amount $15,000 for the stump removals. Staff recommends awarding a contract to Sinot Tree Services, Inc. for tree stump removal services and a contract to Desiderio Landscaping LLC for tree removals. Therefore, Mr. President, make a motion, one, to approve a resolution approving the waiver of the competitive bid process in lieu of solicitation of competitive proposals and authorizing the approval and execution of a vendor contract with Desiderio Landscaping LLC for tree removal services for fiscal year 26 through 2027 through fiscal year 2028, 2029, and authorizing the expenditure of village grant and MFT funds in the amount not to exceed $39,500 per fiscal year to pay for such services.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. The only question I had was on Desiderio. The last 13 years I've been on the board, we've always had contractors that were located close by. I guess I would direct this to Superintendent Jandick. Is there any concern as far as an emergency basis when a tree came down and you needed to call them out at their yard? Now, you have to gather the crew, get them together, get the truck, and come from Grange Park. Are you worried about the time? I presume you've done reference checks, so let me know what you think.
Trustee Sheehan, we did, before we sent out this RFP to certain vendors, we did check with our consultant, Jim Smelka, who is with Great Lakes Urban Forestry, just to enhance our RFP to get more vendors who are reputable, and he came highly recommended along with some of the other companies that have put in bids for it this year. So with their distance just being probably about a half hour away, they're confident that they can do that, and so am I.
Okay, very good. I'm satisfied with that. I would approve.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
Okay, next we'll do, thanks again, Superintendent Jandick. Next we'll do to approve a resolution approving the waiver of the competitive bid process in lieu of solicitation of competitive proposals and authorizing the approval and execution of a vendor contract with Synod Tree Services, Inc. for tree stump removal services for fiscal year 26-27 through fiscal year 2028-2029, and authorizing the expenditure of village general funds in an amount not to exceed $15,000 per fiscal year to pay for such services.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Synod has served us well. A couple of years ago, if memory serves, they had the tree trimming in the east section, and I think they did a good job. And as far as doing residentials through the neighborhood, through my travels throughout the years, I feel that they've done good work and would be a good choice.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Any other comments? Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
That concludes Public Works, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Okay, moving on, Finance Committee, Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the finance area this evening, first of all, I have the financial report through March of 2026 for this current budget year, and then have some final discussions and potential approval for the upcoming fiscal year budget, and some other final discussions on the 25-26 budget. But first of all, the monthly report. Fiscal year to date, general fund revenue of $9,717,203 is at 79.7% of the annual budget, and $1,556,488, which is 13.8% lower than last year. The decrease is primarily due to the delay with Cook County issuing property tax bills and lower interest revenue. Property tax receipts of $2,599,807 or $1,730,984, which is 40% lower than last year. And Cook County mailed first installment property tax bills for 2025 in early March with a due date of April 1, a month later compared to prior years. Other local taxes are at $1,016,580 or about 5.5% greater than last year. Utility taxes are higher while the telecommunications tax and cable franchise fee continue to trend down. Payments in lieu of taxes have increased due to the new agreement with Pillars Community Health. Intergovernmental receipts of $3.93 million are up 1.7% from last year. Sales tax and income tax continue to trend higher, while use tax and personal property replacement tax are lower than last year. The state use tax decline was anticipated due to sales tax legislation, which moved taxes on some out-of-state and online purchases from the use tax to the state and local sales taxes. However, the decline is significantly more than expected. Combined sales and use tax receipts are trending slightly lower than the prior year. Licenses and registration fees are at $278,882. They are $3,243, or 1.2% greater than last year. Permit receipts of $478,450 are at $116,034, or 32% greater than the prior year. Our permit revenue is at 68% of the budget and is expected to end under budget for the fiscal year, and that's due to the timing of planned projects moving permit revenue into next year. Charges for services of $942,262 are $107,197, or 12.8% higher than last year, and that's due to ambulance service receipts and water tower lease payments. Fine revenue of $132,581 is at $1820, or 1.4% greater than last year, and our miscellaneous revenue of $335,845 is at $172,051, or 33.9% less than last year, and that's due primarily to lower interest revenue. Interest rates have declined over the past year following rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. Additionally, general fund cash reserves are lower, and that's due to the delay in the property tax bills and the transfer to the sewer fund in the prior fiscal year to support the Central Area Sewer Separation Project. Our total general fund expenditures of $9.9 million, which is $9,983,100, are at 82.1% of the annual budget, and $211,845, or 2.2% greater than last year. All departments are within budget expectations. Our police department is lower than last year, and that's due to the delay in property tax receipts because the village's police pension contributions occur as property taxes are received. And moving into budget discussions. First discussion is on the fiscal year 26-27 budget and 5-year plan. The Finance Committee held meetings on March 10th and March 24th to review the draft fiscal year 26-27 budget and the 5-year plan. At these meetings, the committee conducted a comprehensive review of the proposed budget, including revenues, expenditures, capital planning, and long-term financial considerations. As part of this process, the committee discussed a series of finance-related questions, with staff providing detailed responses and supporting information. This question and answer process allowed for further evaluation and clarification of key budget assumptions, cost drivers, and financial strategies. The committee also reviewed a range of potential revenue options as part of its broader discussion on long-term financial sustainability and diversification of revenue sources. On April 14th of 2026, the Finance Committee convened to finalize its review and develop recommendations to the full village board. These recommendations were subsequently presented and discussed at the April 14, 2026 budget hearing and the village board work session, where the board provided consensus and direction on revenue measures and budget refinements incorporated into the proposed budget. The fiscal year 26-27 budget reflects a continued focus on infrastructure investment, financial sustainability, and long-term planning consistent with the village's budget theme of disciplined progress from a position of strength. And here's some of the highlights of the Finance Committee review. During its review, the Finance Committee focused on the following areas: cost drivers, including health care benefit pricing, dispatch, which is LTAC costs, and evolving technology and equipment needs. These areas are increasingly shaped by market-driven shifts from one-time capital purchases to subscription and service-based models, placing added pressure on the general fund. Infrastructure investment, including roadway improvements following voter approval of the March 2026 referendum as well as major projects such as the Central Air Sewer Separation Project, and personnel and staffing, including evaluation of operational needs within the police and public works departments, balancing service levels with what is financially sustainable and what can be supported with the budget. Revenue and financial sustainability, including evaluation of existing revenues and consideration of diversified revenue options to maintain long-term stability and support future investments. 5-year plan review is part of that, including alignment of capital projects with long-term funding strategies to ensure implementation, readiness, and financial sustainability. Some of the budget considerations and ongoing updates are based upon this review and subsequent village board discussion at the April 14th meeting. Several refinements have been incorporated into the draft budget as outlined below. And I think it's important to highlight some of those key areas that we're focused on. First item was reinstatement of the annual gifts program. Initially, that was taken out at a rate of $5,000. It was decided to maintain that as part of our general fund, water fund, and sewer funds. Adjust the budget amount for Village Hall ejector pumps to $26,000. Update pricing for the office improvements and police to $133,000. Rebudget 2/3 of the space needs, which required an additional $30,000. And then adding cardiac monitor installment payments to $25,950 for 5 years. That will receive see that in fiscal year 27. And a new item was a rebudget construction for Scottsdale Storm Sewer Headwall Replacement Project, current budget as outfall project in the amount of $110,000. Some of the revenue options, which I think are important to highlight. As part of the review, the Finance Committee evaluated a range of potential revenue options. These were presented to the Village Board at the April 14th work session. The board provided consensus direction on which measures to include in the fiscal year 26 and 27 budget. The following reflects the Village Board's direction from that discussion and meeting. Streaming services, amusement tax was discussed, and the decision at the board at that point and recommendation was to defer consideration, not included in the 26-27 budget. Second item considered was a local motor fuel tax, gasoline tax, included with the conservative first-year revenue based on approximately 2 cents per gallon. Municipal sales tax rebalancing, a 1/4% swap, include with estimated first-year revenue of approximately $50,000 was added. Vehicle sticker fee adjustments included a 5% increase with estimated first-year revenue of approximately $30,000, and failure to obey a police stop and administrative tow fee adjustment included with estimated first-year revenue of approximately $6,000 additional. And lastly, a lift assist fee after several repeated calls includes a policy measure where no revenue is assumed in our first year, but going forward in future years may have some impact. These measures reflected a balanced approach to strengthening the village's revenue structure while maintaining fairness and competitiveness. All estimates are conservative, first-year projections. These items will require the development and adoption of implementing ordinance over the year, which staff will prepare for the village board's consideration. The recommendation of staff is to approve what's presented as the fiscal year 26-27 budget and 5-year plan is updated to reflect the Finance Committee's recommendations and the village board direction from the April 14th meeting. So this item's for consideration and any potential discussion, final discussion this evening. So first of all, I'd like to submit a motion to approve an ordinance approving the fiscal year 26-27 operating budget for the village of Grange Park.
Second.
Motion is second, discussion. Trustee Liner?
Thank you, Mr. President, after a slight pause here. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity, as I have in past years as head of the Finance Committee, to express the extreme and sincere appreciation for all the work efforts that it takes to go into putting this budget. Year after year, virtually everybody in the room and virtually all staff in some form or some level or another as well as this entire board, get involved in making sure that we put forth the best possible representation of fiscally responsible use of the funds from this community. It's an effort that lasts over several months, and I know we've talked about it in the past, and every year I think that it gets better and better all the time. It's also the time that I always try to encourage all of our residents, those that attend meetings, those that are viewing electronically. I think it's very important for us as a community to understand how is our combined monies being spent. I encourage everybody in the village to take a look at the transparency portal that exists on our website. It's a succinct way in which to take a quick look, the narrative that puts together a representation of the thinking behind and the themes that are presented with this budget, and goes department by department, what the focus of each of those departments. And I think everyone in the village that has an interest, hopefully it's everybody, but everyone that has an interest should take the time to review that transparency portal with the budget that is presented. I know that we all have contacts and friends in other villages, and necessary to say that I think if our residents take some time and take a look at what has been put forth here, they'll be very proud of the product and the thinking that goes into making sure that the responsibility of this department and this community for making sure that the funds that are being spent, our money, is important for us to all pay attention to. So, and I also want to express appreciation to the Finance Committee and those that were involved in producing the final discussion and product to bring it to this point. So with that, I will say that I wholeheartedly support this, and look forward to the rest of the board's vote on supporting this to go forward into fiscal year 26 and 27.
Thank you, Trustee Laudner. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I echo Trustee Lautner's kudos to everybody who had their hands in on this. Unfortunately, maybe this isn't going to be popular, but as far as hearing, yes, we are elected to be financially responsible, but I feel that, and this isn't going to be a surprise to anyone up here, I feel we also need to be responsible to safety. And I know we're approved last year for the 22nd position for the police department, and I had hoped for a 23rd this year. That's not going to happen. I know we're having trouble filling that 22nd spot, and that's unfortunate. But I'm a strong believer that, maybe we would get lucky and get by as far as operational needs and integrity of the department with what we have by throwing overtime at the officers. But I think the men and women of the department, mental health is a strong thing, and I don't want to see anyone in our department get burned out. I'm not saying that that's part of the reason why maybe over the last couple of years we've had people leave because there's too much overtime. They can't draw a balance between a work life and a professional and a personal life. So that's what I'm sticking to, Mr. President. I'm disappointed that there's not a 23rd on here. And maybe years down the road, we'd also like to get more personnel in public works, but I'm standing by the public safety sentiment. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Council?
Thank you, Mr. President. I've prepared a statement regarding the budget. I echo Trustee Sheehan's thanks to staff for preparing the budget. However, I have some concerns of my own, and these are the concerns that I have. At the onset of the discussions that were held during Finance Committee meetings, we were informed that there was not enough income to support the hiring of more police staff, public works staff, and there was a concern that there would be too much of a shortfall if holiday gifts were presented to employees totaling $3,900 in this multi-million-dollar budget. I believe that hiring police staff and public works staff should have been made the priority in the budget, with other cuts made to non-essential village administrative staff, considering we were told that even if we hired more police staff, it was questionable if they would have been sustainable in future years. To me, it's a matter of where we put our priorities. If we haven't reached police staffing levels since COVID 2020 6 years ago, how can we expect any significant changes in future years? The other concern I have is regarding implementing alternative sources of income through the increase of fees, including vehicle sticker prices, entertainment streaming fees, increasing dog licensing fees, etc. For as much as our residents are already being asked to absorb so many costs due to the unfunded LSLR mandate, the increasing cost of utilities, real estate taxes, and their overall daily expenses, the last thing I want to do is add more financial burden to our residents. I would also ask the question pertaining to the amount of the revenue stream that would be considered municipal sales tax rebalancing measure. Initially in the packet that we were presented, we were told that it could be a range of an additional $160,000 in revenue on a yearly basis. How did the amount of $160,000 for additional revenue get reduced to $50,000 in the alternate revenue option of municipal sales tax rebalancing, as we just discussed the various options at our recent village board work session? Maybe I can get an answer from Mr. Knoller, our finance person. Thank you.
I'm happy to address that question. So some of you may recall that staff sent out a revenue options report, and it explained that. And so there are only 2 periods in the year that you can initiate an ordinance and send it to the Illinois Department of Revenue. And so based upon when that documentation needs to be sent into the state of Illinois is when the revenue starts flowing. And so this documentation would have to go into the state by October in order to have a January implementation. So January through April is 4 months out of 12 months. And so that is the amount of funding. So it's a first year conservative estimate. So when you identify revenue options, you have to take into consideration things like state regulations and the amount of time that it takes to put in an ordinance in place in order to get that passed by the board and get it implemented. So the estimates that we have for each of the revenue options are based upon a timeline that includes implementation. So they're very realistic numbers, and we anticipate that the second year, when these revenue sources are implemented, will have the higher numbers, much higher numbers. And looking back at the work session meeting, there was a question that you had at that meeting: can the revenue options that we put in place track how they are performing over time? And the answer to that question is absolutely. So we will be able to see the performance of the revenue changes that are put into place.
Okay, Julia, thank you for your explanation. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Trustee Zora?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to comment on Trustee Council's comment. I feel like we don't have any non-essential village staff. We're a small municipality, and everyone we have, I think, is staffed is important. So I don't think there's anyone that we can eliminate from administration. And we've been trying to add a 22nd officer for a year. So to me, it doesn't make any sense to put a 23rd officer in the budget when we can't fill the 22nd. I think in the coming year, if that officer is filled and we see the need, then it makes sense to put it in next year's budget, but I don't understand why we would put it in this year's budget. And I'm all for additional police and public works employees, but if the directors are not requesting these and there's not an issue with overtime and staff, I don't see why we would move forward with that if they're not requesting it. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Zora. Any other comments?
Mr. President, mind I rebut that?
Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you. From conversation, I thought it was brought up that Chief Contois would have liked the 23rd position in the beginning. Just remember, we have the civility pledge. Everybody up here is entitled to their own opinion, and that's how we all vote. So that's all I have to say.
Mr. President, can I make a comment about the budget?
Yes.
So I think it's important that folks understand that this budget that the board approves is, it's open to participation by everyone. If there are any questions or concerns or a desire to prioritize the items that we have budgeted, staff certainly welcomes that at any of the meetings. Any questions that we got from the village board related to the budget, they were all answered. And we certainly, from a staff perspective, we welcome the opportunity to sit down with the village board and prioritize every item in the budget. It's important that everybody feels confident in the budget. It is a matter of priorities, and if there's a desire to sit down and look at which positions get cut in order to provide for another, we can certainly do that, and that is something that staff can do, because ultimately the budget is a policy decision, and it's a policy decision approved by the village board.
Thank you, Julia. Any other comments? I would like to thank trustee Zora for pinch hitting the last meeting we had, and trustee Lautner for all your hard work and all your questions and getting us up to speed on this as trustees. So I want to thank you both for your work and putting this all together. I also want to thank staff. Julia, you and your team have done a tremendous job with this budget. We're doing everything we possibly can. We're being fiscally responsible. I think chief understand our situation, and certainly they would like more personnel, but if we can't afford it, we can't get it right now. We can't get the 22nd one. So kudos to both of you for all the hard work that you're doing to keep your departments motivated. With that, I'll ask Megan to call the roll.
Mr. President, I have just one last thing to comment on. So if you look at page 2 on the staff memo, under revenue options, I just want to make a clarification because I think it's important. So under the 4th bullet point where it says vehicle sticker fee adjustment, it's not a 5% increase, it would be a $5 increase. And I'm making the clarification, understanding that this is subject to an ordinance that the village board will consider and discuss at a later date. But I wanted to make sure that that was clarified. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Julia. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
No.
Trustee Sheehan?
No.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes by a vote of 4-2, Mr. President.
We need the president, we need 5 votes for the budget.
President Scipio?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you. The motion passes by a
Thank you,
vote of
Megan.
5-2.
Thank you. Continue on, trustee Lautner.
Okay, thank you for the clarification on that. Secondly, I'd like to submit a motion to approve the fiscal year 26-27 to 2030-2031 5-year plan.
Second.
Discussion, trustee Lautner.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that this is a projection of where we see things going. And in some ways, very similar to the budget that we just approved, it's a budget, it's a plan. Conditions as they evolve going forward can dictate changes to that as necessary. Adds, deletes, or whatever it may take. So I think it's important to keep that, but it's a plan of how we intend to move forward based on conditions and what we think we see in the foreseeable future, and very similar to that in the 5-year plan. That's how we see as a village moving forward in the areas that are approved. So I support the 5-year plan as presented and moving forward.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
No.
Trustee Sheehan? No. Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diafario?
Yes.
President DeCipio? The motion passes by a vote of 5 to 2, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Continue on, Trustee Lautner.
Okay. Next is consider amendments to the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Village policy requires that the village board amend the annual budget if the total expenditures for a department or fund will exceed the approved budget. State statute authorizes the village board to revise the budget by a 2/3 vote. The following amendments are proposed for the fiscal year 25-26 budget. In all cases, funds are available for the increased expenditures. The 31st Street Barnesdale Business District Fund budget requires an amendment of $80,000 due to the 31st Street Corridor Transportation Plan. The cost is partially reimbursed by an Illinois Department of Transportation grant. The Risk Management Fund budget requires an amendment of $52,000 for replacement of a police vehicle that was totaled during an accident. The cost is offset by reimbursement through the village's risk pool. Staff recommends the village board approve the attached budget amendment ordinance at the April 20th meeting this evening. So I'd like to submit a motion to approve an ordinance amending the fiscal year 25-26 operating budget for the village of Grange Park.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Lautner.
These are understandable and necessary, unfortunate but necessary amendments, and I would support them.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diafario?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
And I think that's everything from the finance area this evening, Mr. President.
And again, thank you, Trustee Lautner, for all of your work as chair of the committee. Okay, moving on to other reports. Village Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Our village treasurer.
No report, Mr. President.
Village engineer.
No report, thanks.
Our village attorney.
No report tonight.
Commercial revitalization. Trustee Zora.
Thank you. I have a few items. The village's consultant is currently drafting the 31st Street Corridor Transportation Plan on the community engagement, existing conditions analysis, and a shared vision for the future of the 31st Street and Barnesdale Road. A draft plan is expected to be presented to the Commercial Revitalization Committee this summer. Members of the public are encouraged to review the draft plan and provide feedback online. Run for the Roses 2026 will take place on Sunday, May 17th at 8 a.m., starting at Forest Road School, 901 Forest Road, hosted by the Grange Park Chamber of Commerce. This annual 5K invites participants to run or walk while enjoying a fun community event. Register today to take part and contact committee chair Sherry Sauer at sherrysauer@properties.com with any questions. The Village and Central Federal Savings and Loan will co-host a meet and greet for business property owners in the village's TIF and Business Development Districts to discuss the village's facade and property revitalization program. The event will take place on Tuesday, May 19th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Central Federal Saving and Loan, 1921 East 31st Street. The reimbursement grant program supports improvements that enhance the appearance and vitality of local properties and businesses. Attendees can learn more about the program, share ideas, and ask questions. Visit the village's website or contact Eric Rockwell for more information. The next Commercial Revitalization Committee meeting will take place on Tuesday, May 12th at 6:30 p.m. at Village Hall. Upcoming topics include the 31st Street Corridor Transportation Plan, as well as future streetscape projects around the Village Market Shopping Center. Businesses and members of the public are invited to attend and provide input on how the village can best support new and existing businesses and enhance the commercial areas in the Grange Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Okay, a motion to approve committee and collectors report is presented.
So.
Second. Megan, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I have a couple items. First of all, I'd like to thank Hank for continually coming to our meetings and writing great articles about us. And Pat, you too, for coming to our meetings and running the chamber the way that you do. We appreciate everything. So I have a discussion and action items. Listed below are my recommendations for appointments and reappointments to various village commissions. At the close of a term, committee commission seats expire on the 1st of May or until a successor is appointed and qualified. For the Planning and Zoning Commission, the PZC consists of 7 members appointed by the President with the advice and consent of the Board of Trustees. Each member serves a 5-year term. I'd like to reappoint Jim Lee, Robert Bartholomew, and Drew McElligott to the Planning and Zoning Commission, reappointment to May of 31. Police Board of Commissioners. Board of Commissioners serve 3-year terms and are appointed by the President with the advice and consent of the Board. I'd like to appoint Lee Zetlin. Commissioner Tops has served on the board since 2014 and has played a vital role in supporting the police department through the commission's responsibilities. His dedication, leadership, and steady guidance have been an invaluable asset to the village. As he steps down to pursue exciting new opportunities, we extend our sincere appreciation for his many years of service. Commissioner Tops will retire as May of 31st, 2026. I am pleased to recommend the appointment of Mr. Lee Zetlin effective June 1st, 2026 for a 3-year term expiring May 1st, 2029. Mr. Zetlin brings a wealth of law enforcement leadership experience, having recently retired as chief of the Brookfield Zoo Police Department. His continued involvement in organizations such as Wounded Warrior Project and the 100 Club of Illinois reflects his strong commitment to service, making him exceptionally well suited to contribute to the work of Board of Police Commissioners. Julie and I met with Z. He couldn't have been more proud to be appointed. It's a great opportunity for him, and we look forward to working with Lee. The Police Pension Board. Police Pension Board Fund's Board of Trustees is composed of following individuals who serve 2-year terms. 2 members who are participants in the fund, 2 police officers, 1 member who's an annuitant of the fund, retired police officer, and 2 at-large members appointed by the village president. I'd like to reappoint Phil Macy with the appointment expiring May 1st, 2028. Since his appointment in 2023, Mr. Macy has demonstrated a strong commitment to the financial stability and responsible oversight of the Police Pension Fund. Traffic and Safety Engineering Committee, I'd like to reappoint the 7 members appointed to 2-year terms. Steve May, Chair, Paul Graham, Matt Huffman, Keith Creasa, Eric Johnson, Ryan Vokak, and Brian Sock. And I'd like a motion for those. Trustee Zora?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve committee and commission appointments and reappointments as follows. Planning and Zoning Commission. Motion to reappoint Jim Lee, Robert Bartholomew, and Drew McElligott to a new 5-year term expiring in 2031.
Second. Okay.
Do them all? Okay. I'll just say it again. I'd like to make a motion to approve committee and commission appointments and reappointments as follows. Board of Police Commissioners, motion to appoint Lee Zetlin effective June 1st, 2026 to a 3-year term expiring in 2029. Police Pension Board, motion to reappoint Phil Macy to a new 2-year term expiring in 2028. Traffic Safety and Engineering Committee, motion to reappoint Steve May as a chair, Paul Graham, Matt Huffman, Keith Creasa, Eric Johnson, Ryan Vokak, Brian Sock to a new 2-year term expiring in 2028.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I have no objection. Our Planning and Zoning Commission is wonderful, so I'm happy that they're continuing their term, and I think all of our committees are well-run and have great volunteers, so I'm in favor.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Trustee Zora. Next up, we have discussion and action resolution supporting municipal authority over local housing, land use, and zoning decisions. Purpose to consider adoption of a resolution supporting the preservation of municipal authority over local housing, land use, and zoning decisions. The state of Illinois has introduced the Building Up Illinois Development Build Initiative, which includes a series of legislative proposals aimed at addressing housing availability and affordability across the state. These proposals include statewide zoning standards, increased residential density allowances, legalization of accessory dwelling units, limitations on parking requirements, and changes to local development review and inspection processes. As currently proposed, the Build Initiative would establish uniform statewide requirements that preempt certain aspects of municipal zoning and land use authority. I'd like to make a resolution supporting the municipal authority over local housing, land use, and zoning decisions, so I'll entertain a motion. Trustee Laudner,
So moved.
you want to read the motion for me, please?
I can read the motion.
Thank you.
I'd like to submit a motion to adopt a resolution supporting municipal authority over local housing, land use, and zoning decisions.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. This is one of the items, obviously, we'll be discussing down in Springfield tomorrow. It's going to be a great trip. We're going to get a lot done. We're going to meet with Porfirio and Lightford and some other individuals down there. I think it's a great opportunity for us to network with other municipalities. So this is one of the items. Any other comments? Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Next up is the purpose adoption of a resolution urging the state of Illinois to protect and preserve local government distributive fund revenues. The LGDF represents a longstanding revenue sharing partnership between the state of Illinois and local governments, distributing a portion of state income tax revenues to municipalities and counties. These funds support essential local services, including public safety, infrastructure, general municipal operations. Recent discussions at the state level have included potential reductions to LGDF distributions. Any reduction in LGF funding would shift the burden of funding local services to municipalities and ultimately to local taxpayers. For the village of Grange Park, proposed reductions are estimated to result in a loss of more than $70,000 annually. This loss would impact the village's ability to maintain service levels, support infrastructure investments, and sustain long-term financial stability. Therefore, I'd like to recommend a motion approving the reductions to LGDF revenue.
I'd like to submit a motion to adopt a resolution opposing reductions to the local government distribution fund, LGDF revenue.
Second.
Any discussion? This is another item that we'll be discussing down in Springfield tomorrow. It is on everybody's agenda. It's been talked about in Springfield repeatedly. The legs just don't get to go too far, though, with this thing. We got to get Speaker Welch on our side and Sean LaFord on our docket here to make sure that these things are not addressed. It seems like that they're taking over for state, but they're not looking at us, who they represent. So with that, any other comments? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Next one, the last one, is a resolution in support of Illinois America 250 commemoration. Purpose: to present a resolution supporting the Illinois America 250 Commission and the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. On July 4th, 2026, the United States will commemorate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This once-in-a-generation milestone provides an opportunity for communities across the country to reflect on the nation's history, honor its founding principles, and promote civic engagement. The Illinois America 250 Commission was established to lead statewide efforts in recognizing this historic event and to encourage inclusive and educational commemorations across Illinois. The Illinois Municipal League has encouraged municipalities to adopt a resolution in support of this initiative as a meaningful way to participate at the local level. And therefore, I request a motion.
Second. So moved.
Motion. I'd like to submit a motion to approve a resolution of the Village of Grange Park in support of the Illinois America 250 commemoration.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Any comments? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
Trustee Diaferio?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
With that, any new business? Trustee Diaferio?
Thank you, President. As village trustee, I'm bringing forward a proposal that is ultimately about one thing: preventing a tragedy before it happens. Today, I'm proposing the installation of a four-way stop at Stone Monroe Park. More broadly, that we begin moving forward towards a village-wide standard for traffic calming at park-adjacent intersections. This is not theoretical. Just today, a child was struck near Ogden Elementary School right outside the playground. Thankfully, they were reported as okay, but that outcome is not something we can rely on. In situations like this, the difference between okay and catastrophic often comes down to a few miles per hour or a single second of driver attention. The data is clear. In Illinois, we see over 300 pedestrian fatalities each year, with thousands more injuries. Across the U.S., nearly 700 children are killed and over 67,000 are injured annually as pedestrians. But the most important factor in all of this is speed. At 20 miles per hour, a pedestrian has about a 90% chance of surviving a crash. At 30 miles per hour, that drops significantly, and at 40 miles per hour, survival drops to less than 20%. That's not a small difference, it's the difference between life and death. And here's what's most relevant to us. The majority of child pedestrian incidents don't happen at controlled intersections. They happen in exactly the type of environment we're talking about here. Residential streets, near parks, where there's no forced stop. Even in Cook County, we see thousands of pedestrian crashes over recent years, many in neighborhood settings, not highways where families expect to be safe. Parks create a perfect storm of risks. Children move unpredictably, they cross where it's convenient, not always where it's marked, and they don't have the ability to judge vehicle speed the way adults do. At the same time, drivers in these areas become comfortable and less alert, roll through stop signs, or simply don't expect a child to enter the roadway suddenly. That combination is where accidents happen. A four-way stop directly addresses this. It forces a complete stop, it slows vehicles at the exact point of conflict, it creates clear, predictable right-of-way, and most importantly, it changes driver behavior immediately. This is not a costly or complex solution. It's a simple, proven measure that aligns directly with the risk we know exists. And while I'm proposing this specifically for Stone Monroe Park, I believe we should take a step further. We should begin establishing a consistent approach across our village. If an intersection sits next to a park or playground where children are expected to be present, then traffic should be controlled accordingly. Because we shouldn't wait for a pattern, we shouldn't wait for multiple incidents, and we certainly shouldn't wait for a tragedy. On numerous occasions, I have firsthand witnessed at Stone Monroe Park a child wander into or towards the roadway with a caregiver shouting in panic to stop their child ahead of a moving vehicle. We were fortunate today, next time we may not be. This is a low-cost, high-impact decision that prioritizes the safety of children and families in spaces designed for them. And in my review, this makes not just a good idea, but the right thing to do. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee DeFeo, for bringing that forward. Thank you, Trustee Diaferio. Any other new business? Now, I did put all public participation at the beginning. Did anybody want to speak to the board at this point? Seeing none, motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Everyone have a great week.
Thanks for filling in, by the way. At a moment's notice.